more companies are shutting down operations and laying off people. So in this video, we're going to discuss some companies that are shutting down, having a hard time. We're going to discuss Otter Statistics, exactly how many booths were there and how many racers and whatnot. And also, we're going to talk about some success stories. Who is doing well in this bike environment of today? Okay, FC here of E-MTB Review, also formerly contributor now of mtbr.com and Road Bike Review. And last week, I did a video on Kona bicycles and Pole having difficulty, and it's like my best video of the year. So I said, man, I got to do more of the news kind of videos, So let me know in the comments, maybe once a week or something. But interesting stuff still happens every week. And the first one is Stages Cycling has shut down its operations, its global operations. So they have shut down their Boulder office. No one's there. About 40 to 45 people have been let go, and it's a problem. It's a big one because they do such a great product. Who is Stages? They do power meter cranks. So a very effective way of measuring power. And I've used the product. Really cool. It really works, and it's kind of cost effective. And they also got into the business of bike trainers, kind of like Peloton. So gyms and whatnot are able to use a very high quality machine with resistance and whatnot. But I think after the post shutdown inventory problems, they've had a lot of problems. So they owe people a lot of money. They owe Giant like $14 million, and Giant was suing them. But now they pulled back the suit and they hired 4 of the key employees of Stages. So I'm like, what's going on there? They're also holding about $7 to $8 million of inventory that they produced for Giant, and that's kind of why they owe them money. They were the manufacturer for a lot of these power measuring equipment. So, unfolding saga, not done yet. I know Giant has some exercise bikes themselves, some fitness, so maybe they want to reuse some of this inventory and resell them under their own brand. But that stuff's complicated because I'm sure Stages has a lot of unpaid bills due. So, Stages Cycling, I feel very bad for the employees at the Boulder office. Some really good guys there that they know of, that I've met. So hopefully they land on their feet. Next piece of bad news is Enve Composites has been sold to a private equity firm called PV3. Very little is known about PV3. I think it's a big, rich Utah investor who is an Enve fan, and he's going to take over the helm and see what happens to this company. But Enve, this is bad. Why is it bad news, you say? Because I've been around the block. Any kind of acquisition of a company that's been having a hard time is never good. Usually it's a fire sale. Instead of shutting down, you just sell it for brand or parts or whatnot. And, they're going to try to make a go of it. So hopefully something good will happen. They will retool and offer a compelling product that people want. But it's been difficult. Amr, the old owner of Enve, did buy Enve 8 years ago for $50 million. $50 million. Even at that time, we all knew that was too much. I'm like, come on, guys. And basically they had the most in product, a very lucrative Enve wheel, super stiff, but with the coolest decals, and everybody wanted them on their trick bike. But that fad has gone away. Nothing could be further from what people currently want. And these wheels were like $3,000, and they were stiff and they broke, and everything's been fixed, but now the buzz is gone and they're kind of looking for the new buzz. So they've been making every other product, components, handlebars and whatnot, frames, but I haven't really heard much of them. I just know they're still very expensive. $4,500 for a frame, for a road bike frame. So it's a tough go. So we'll see what happens to them. But a lot of these acquisitions, they really don't go anywhere. They whittle down the company into its money-making parts, and they try to make a go of it. But somehow they kind of have to find that magic, that secret sauce again. And we'll see what happens to Enve, but it won't be easy for sure. Third piece of bad news is just minor. Rapha has closed their U.S. office in Bentonville, Arkansas. 6 out of 8 people were laid off. So tough again because really the cool people in Arkansas in Bentonville, and it was kind of big news when they opened operations over there. But UK company, Rapha, selling again very expensive stuff. Is there a trend here? And I'm sure they've had some inventory problems and sales problems. So they're whittling down their U.S. operations. They're still gonna call Bentonville their headquarters, even though there's no office there. But in a summary, that's what's happening to the bike industry and to all other industries. These closet industries is it's turned from a want economy. I want that. Let me buy that thing. To a need economy, and companies have to readjust. What does that mean? I want the S Works, but I really just need a bike to commute to work. 14,000, 1,200, and people are buying the 1,200 if they really need it. So it's a tough one. So a lot of companies are going to go through some pain as we go through these ups and downs of the industry. It always happens, but this one was particularly hard because it's brought on by the supply chain issues. Amplified quite a bit. Okay, change the pace. I'm going to talk about some companies that are killing it as well. But before that, let's get to Sea Otter. Sea Otter is kind of the heartbeat, the pulse of the bike industry because it is now one of our few trade shows left. They claim to be the biggest, and I'm like, how big is big? 1,000 brands, they said. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? 1,000 brands. And finally, we have some clarity on the subject. So last year they had 525 booths, over 1,000 brands. This year they have 560 booths. So a little bit, a 7% increase in booths sold. Brands, it's kind of blurry. I don't even care about that because one booth can have like 4 brands. Who knows, right? So definitely the booth space is the most key. So I'm glad it grew a little bit. Weather was perfect as it could be. When it's raining and whatnot, attendance will really drop quite a bit. So attendance, I'll get to that in a second. But in the booth scenario, it's not all as rosy either because I did notice a big increase in the unknown booths. The pop-up tents with brands that are not biking or that you've never kind of biking, but mainland somewhere else, and you never heard of them, trying to make a name for themselves. So a lot more of those now, especially on the I think the paddock area. So I would say it's about the same as last year. Is kind of what I felt of relevant booths and brands. Other key pieces of data: 77,000 people attended the event, about the same as last year. So the fact that it didn't grow was a little strange given the weather was so good, but at least it's on par with last year. There were 7,600 who signed up to race. They didn't all start because they something came up. They got busy, and the race is pretty good. They have a lot of gravel racing now. That's quite popular, lucrative, and some e-bike racing. But what's cool is they have a lifetime series of really prestigious gravel racing, and this was the first event in that. So you had some top name racers that participated in that. And the final piece of Sea Otter data is 350 members of media showed up. So that's kind of a big thing for a lot of these brands as well. They want to hit consumers, they want to see their dealers, and they want media coverage. Media, some of them are big. None of them have booths now, but a lot of them are just YouTubers, kind of like me. So, but it's kind of the future, one of the future directions of Sea Otter as well. It's not all bad news. Everyone loves a train wreck, but hey, I'm here to spend some good tidings as well. The first piece of good news is Garmin. Garmin, that company that makes GPS and power meter pedals and cool stuff, technology company. They have increased their sales by 20%, and that's cool. That's cool. Not only for the bike industry, but all these other kind of hobby industries. The fact that someone's recovering means, hey, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. And an even better number is they have increased operating income by over 50%. So they probably whittled down, they kind of trimmed the fat, focused, spent less, less paid lunches, and profit went up 50%. So pretty darn good. And Garmin, really good products. You can't fault them for what they do, and they always, year after year, all their products get better. So they're a model for other companies for sure. Another good news is Tuli. Tuli, I think, focused on bike racks, has increased their sales by 9%. 9% is good. 0% is good. So 9 is even better. And that's pretty cool. That means people are buying these racks, sometimes as expensive as a bike itself, spending money on it. So maybe, the inventory problems of some companies is they're past it now, and people are buying product and they're shipping product. So 9% growth, pretty darn good. All right, another piece of good news is Giant said that they're going to focus quite a bit of the resources on e-bikes because 30% of their sales last year came from e-bike. So not unit sales, but revenue, total revenue was 30%. And that is amazing because, where did it come from? Not really sure. It's not only where you are, but where you're going. And how do you know where you're going is, how was it last year? Is it growing? It's growing a lot. Probably doubling in revenue every year. So with that, they're going to invest more resources. And I don't feel like they have the bleeding edge e-bikes out there, but you could tell that they are really starting to experience some significant, and I predict the majority of their sales is going to come from e-bikes in the future. And lastly, I have a piece of data from US. I'll quote the source, but from US sales of total bikes in 2023, about 8 years ago, uh, e-bike sales was 2%. And in 2023, it was 20%. So that represents a big jump in revenue for this e-bike market. Basically, the graph 10 times, right? It went like this. And what some people are predicting is that hockey stick curve where, okay, it's like this. If you continue that change in slope, it's just going to go like this. So, it might be the inflection point where e-bikes will now be accepted in stores, on the roads, in trails, in buddy groups. And what's happening is now your favorite store has it. Now one of the guys in your group has an e-bike. Oh, so there you go. I got through it. A little bit of news. I'm not my not my forte, but why not, huh? Why not spread some good news and some bad news, and really set you up for the weekend? Can you believe it's gonna rain, like an inch of rain here tomorrow in Northern California, and it's already May? That's what we have to deal with right here. All right, thanks for that, everyone.